So let me just explain and give you more context about what Yusuke posted today on his Twitter regarding his experience with me. Right. So, oh, you stopping it while recording. All right. So let's go over this, and I'll start debunking everything. Let's start from here because this is just some context about the entire contract. I will go over this at the end. So here's what's bothering me. Here's him saying that this is the first red flag. Things will only get worse as we found out deception and manipulation sentence from Andy and the other developers. Context, this is to this image. Blade never mentioned the word depth in the screenshot that Andy showed. Right. But you can clearly see that he said, I have like negative 600k profit right now. Which, if you know what negative means, if you're negative 600k in profit, what does that mean? You're in debt. That's what I was on about. If they're 600k in negative, they're in debt. So he's saying that what he was meant is 600k that he invested, but that was never mentioned here, right? If that wasn't mentioned there, how was I supposed to know that it was a quote-unquote investment from Blade, right? All Blade did was show Andy that he's trusting his life earnings on alone. Blade isn't a front-page game developer. 600k was all he had. So he put 600k in of his own money, apparently, while never specifying that here. Again, lying about the contract. So this is the words Andy said in his document. So this is what I said. I said, this poor excuse of a contract is not worth the paper it's pasted on. They never even specified my rates, no address, no signature from the owner, no company name. Yes, all right, there was the company name, but if there's no signature from the owner, there's no name or anything about the owner, who could have made the contract? That's what I was on about. So you see we've talked about Andy's rates and has signed the paper as well. So what I mean by my rates is, yes, it has been said in Discord DMs about my rates. But if the contract does not state my rates, how am I supposed to know what the rates are afterwards? That's what I was going on about. They want me to contribute 40 hours weekly, but never specify what I'm going to be paid hourly. So in that sense, if we're going contract based, they could be paying me $1 an hour and I would never see anything back, right? That's the gist of the contract. No signature, no companies, pure manipulation and false misinformation, which we do not appreciate at all. It's not misinformation. My rates were never specified. You never sent me a contract with your signature back. All right, here's the contract that he sent me in original form. I'll download it as well to show you that this contract has no signature of him. There you go. No signature from him. Just wants my signature. I sent him my signature. And that was it. Nothing else. Nothing about him signing it. Nothing at all. Right. So that's that. Now, let's see the rest. You see, you've talked about Andy's rates and has signed the paper as well. Company name was also mentioned in the contract. Yes, company name was mentioned. But where's your name? Who owns the company? Who owns this contract? What's binding me to this contract? He's with the contract. We're stating everything from the company's name and his compensation. As you can see, we specified the company's name and said further information related to his job and other affairs related to a loan. Those were the things I found manipulated from his document. Right. The only thing you had in there was compensation of 1k upon the completion of chapter 1 and 2. Right. I contributed towards chapter 1 and asked for some compensation for it. Because me working on chapter 2 for a while this contract again is not valid, so they never even had to pay me the 1k. Let's just say I did complete chapter 2. So what's it? The screenshot from the contract shows that Andy is entitled for being paid the sum of 1k for the completion of chapter 1 and 2. Further context, about 90% of the programming related to chapter 1 was completed by Safar, as he's the main programmer for Alone and worked with us for 7+ months. Yes, but the programming that Safar had done was not entirely his fault that it was buggy and lagging, but it was also because of other scripters being on part of it. That's why I did the recode. The recode was there to be entirely scripted new, performance-wise, and for, streaming enabled to be efficient and working with the game, which the current game does not have. And there were a lot of other issues with freezing in the beginning of the game and just lag issues in general. The AI was broken, so I had to remake the entire AI and just a bunch of other things. Andy's payment is based upon the contribution he makes towards Chapter 1 and 2, entirely as the FAR programmed most of the elements for a loan. We also stated that 1K serves as a failsafe, as we ensure Andy gets compensated regardless of success. Yes, you have a 1K as a failsafe, but your 1K is something you don't even have. So you can't make me work while you don't even have that 1K in as a failsafe. So that doesn't work like that. Further context on the above screenshot, you can see that we agreed to pay Andy upon the completion of Chapter 2's work, and he didn't start nor work on any of the Chapter 2's work and decided to quit on the game without any prior notice. Yes, I quit because I was fed up. I wasn't gaining any compensation for the game, while every other dev that was on there was on percentage, apart from me and the builder. And when I found out that the builder was owed 1 mil and that the game was 600k in debt, I knew right then and there I was never going to get paid. That's why I left. And I even told Josuke that I left, and all I was given was this, calling me debt weight as well in the meantime. So do with that as you wish. This shocked the team, as a lot of planned for Chapter 2 and expected he'd do his best, and leaving us further spreading misinformation has really disappointed us. Again, not misinformation. I showed screenshots. I told you my side. There goes my bottles. Okay. Lying about the payment and other details. The main problem that we have with them is anything for the time we spent. All we got was false promise of the game's success. This is the screenshot from its document. We never forced anyone to work for us. We always made sure that the payment side of things are discussed first before hiring someone. We discussed their payment, yeah, but you also kept telling me when I told you that I had problems with bills that this game would be really successful and would make us rich, right? And now you're saying that that you guys barely made anything with a player base of 6 to 8k, right? Surely. No forced to work for any or his partner so far. Yep. As you can see below, Andy has signed the paper and read the contract, which states his compensation and duty as an employee for a loan. Again, non-employee, the contract is completely and utter bullshit. Same can be said for Mo. We've discussed his payment before we had him for the project. And he sat there. So this is basically me saying that I sat there on release day with 4 hours of sleep. And the owners decided to rush the game and release a poor quality game. So, we never decided to rush the game nor release it in poor quality. Now, this is in Memists, aka Yosuke's own words. They would not release a release date or the trailer if the game wasn't completed coding side. The game wasn't completed scripting side, and they still decided to release a release date. And on release day, I sat in the content creators Discord. Mega Squad Mo can back me up on this. Josh J can back me up on this. Blade was even in that VC. I was sitting there fixing the data store system because it was broken. Most of the lobby wasn't finished. The AI wasn't completely finished. It was lacking the jump scares and some other code for it not working. It wasn't pathing correctly, so I had to fix that. And just a bunch of other unfinished work and bugs that had to be finished in those hours because they decided to release it. Much to the prior days. So this mainly problem initially arise as you didn't contribute much to the prior days before release. Yes, I didn't, because you voided my recode place that I worked weeks on. You just told me, no, we don't have enough time for this. We're scrapping it. That's why I started not working as much. Towards testers and owners in general. Yes, I didn't communicate much with the testers and the owners because of the fact that they voided my recode place. I was fed up. I wasted 2 weeks of my time, probably more, working on a new version of the game just for it to get scrapped. When it was country from Andy, you can see that Andy isn't interested in the contract compensation. Wait, what did I say here? They promised Andy compensation of 1k USD if the game didn't perform well, which they didn't even have the funds for, or an hourly rate which hasn't even been specified in the contract. From the above screenshot from Andy, you can see that Andy isn't interested in the contract's compensation. He fully agreed. He signed the agreement between us. Again, it wasn't an agreement because you never signed it. And there was never any specification of who actually owned the contract. One of my friends could have wrote the contract under Relsoft. It's not a legally binding contract by any means. That he'll get paid at completion of Chapter 1 and 2. At this time of writing this, he contributed nothing towards Chapter 2 and is very unwilling and threatened. No, I was willing. Here, hold up. Let me show you the DMs between that. I was willing to work on Chapter 2 under an agreement. Let me open up the messages with Blade. Here. So, where is it? Here. So it's gonna make at least 2 is... Oh, here. I'll work on chapter 2, sure. But I'm not touching the lobby / chapter 1. I just need some form of compensation for now, since I find it unfair that I'm the only one on these terms, while the rest is either on percentage or commission pay. So yeah, I was willing to work on chapter 2. Again, with people's time, the above screenshots from this document. Communicating with Andy and Mo throughout the week and talked over with Andy and came to a conclusion as he decided to leave alone and had other personal troubles like paying the bill, which weren't related to us as it was his personal problem. It wasn't related to you, but you kept trying to tell me that alone was going to resolve all of those issues, which it didn't. I have gained nothing from you. I almost failed to pay my bill if it wasn't for the other guys that hired me. So, in a way, it became your problem because you fed me lies upon lies saying that this game would be successful. Personalized and financial choices. With that being said, we've debunked most of Andy's claims made us against allowed debunk. So, now comes the troubles with me. Lack of communication. Sends me the screenshot of me ignoring the head of the testers. Right. Again, this was after you guys voided my recode place. So I didn't see a point anymore in working. I even wanted to quit by then, but then I saw the state of the game and I felt bad for Zafar, the other scripter. So that's the only reason I kept going. And because, again, I was fed lies upon the game's success, which it hasn't gotten. Lack of insufficiencies. Most of Andy's system, if not all of them, were extremely buggy and unplayable. There were times where the recode plays which Andy requested to work upon completely broke, and our lead QA stated it on Andy's DMs, which were ignored most of the times, which led to having many numerous bugs to alone upon release. Again, how could those bugs that I had in the recode place, again, I didn't have enough time to finish it. If you had given me enough time to finish it, it would have been a lot more performant than the current game, which led to having numerous bugs to alone upon release. You can't blame me for the bugs on Alone's release when you said yourself that Zafar quote-unquote coded 90% of the game. How is it my fault then? And again, your data system was completely screwed. It wasn't saving any of the data. The revives was a complete scam because they weren't working either, so I had to fix those too. His system had bugs in the main game which weren't fixed upon, and no scripted saw had to work on fixing his lobby bugs and glitches. It's funny that you say that to me when you said the same thing about Octu, the other developer that you had that was there before me. Of those screenshots, you can see how he ignored the bug fixes and the QA tester, whom shared his bug reports, which would have made the game more compact. There are many instances where Andy failed to give constant responses. He has ignored the owner for many days, which is related to his scripting being bug inefficient. One of the major problems which was with the Basement Monsters AI, which Andy didn't fix, which led to a lot of players being disappointed alone. I did fix it. Again, I was in the content creator Discord with Zafar, who even leaked the AI monster in the Discord. I have Mega Squad Mo and Just J, even Zafar, who was in that VC, to show that I did help him fix the AI. We tackled this issue by using Zafar's code, which were efficient and bug-free. No, it wasn't. Your AI that Zafar was using was getting stuck in walls, wasn't following the player correctly. So you can't say that his code was more efficient. The only reason you got me on was because Velro, the QA tester, got me on to fix your AI. So how was Zafar's AI so much more better when you opted to use my AI? Right. So this is upon saying their conclusion about the entire thing. So, what can we get from this? Right, apparently I was giving a lot of lies and deceptions while debunking it entirely here. So I hope this video helped you guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or on Twitter. Also, I completely forgot to go over the beginning of this. I'm sorry. Before I reveal the deceptions and falsification made against us, I want to apologize to everyone that got manipulated by Andy's tweets against us. Also, before I continue, I just want to point out the fact that not only me and Mo got scammed, but 2 other developers, by the way, which, let me show you, they ignored. I showed them this screenshot of Hash, and I showed them NATO. NATO they responded to, but he's saying it's related to another project. Right, but what about this guy? Completely ignored. Just saying. I also want to state that you shouldn't send any hate or negative energy towards Andy, right? which honestly I could give less of a shit about. I had to drink something for this drive. This experience has traumatized me and Blade, as we allow trust with Andy and other developers he mentioned. Furthermore, we want to state that we've never been in a situation like this and broke our trust we have with Andy and the other developers. I'd like to remind you once again that you shouldn't send any hate or encounter anyone reconsidering. Andy worked for recoding alone, as that's something he has to do, and we had no desire initially to get him working on the recoding of Alone. You had no desire initially, but you still let me do it. Never once did you tell me to not do it. So, again, if you didn't have desire and you told me that, I wouldn't have done it. The Recode Blade has a lot of bugs and game-breaking exploits which should have led Alone being a low-quality game. No, it didn't. The only reason it had bugs to begin with was because the code wasn't synchronized properly from the GitHub. So what Zafar had when he was working on was old code, and what I had was also somewhat old code because I didn't have Zafar stuff. If we had combined our code properly to begin with, there wouldn't have been any bugs to begin with. Because, yes, I did not respond to the QA lead, but I was fixing the bugs he was telling me. His lack of dedication, miscommunication, time effectively has led to his departure from... No, the reason I left wasn't because none of this. I left because you never paid me. And that's the end of the story.